If everyone can mute their mics, we're going to start laying on the back, and we're going to just do a general practice today. So a little bit of lower body mobility, a little bit of upper body, some twisting, and I encourage you to be breathing throughout and trying to kind of quiet your wandering mind and keep focused on how you feel in your body. So less is more for this next hour as opposed to all the other things we do at CrossFit. So let's all come laying on your back. We'll come into our Shavasana, or resting corpse pose. And we'll spend a couple minutes just becoming a bit more centered and focused on the breath. And closing your eyes. And just getting comfortable. So if you're not comfortable with legs straight, you can always bend your knees. You can always place a pillow under the knees or under the head if that's more comfortable. Have your arms just gently away from your body, palms up to the sky. Let your legs relax and your feet turn outwards. And make sure the shoulders are down away from your ears and the back of the neck is nice and long. Start to notice your breath. Ideally, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And initially just notice your breathing. It's the gateway into the state of our nervous system, the state of our stress in our body. And just notice whether there's restriction, whether it's labored. Noticing whether it comes from the upper chest or you're able to breathe a little deeper into your belly, expanding your belly, your rib cage as you breathe in, and letting everything come back into the body as you really lengthen and find your full exhale. So inhaling to expand and exhale to fully lengthen. At the end of your exhale, it can almost be a bit effortful as you're drawing your rib cage down into your body, using your abdominal muscles a little bit to get rid of all the air. Think of your breath as 360 degrees around your chest wall, your abdomen. So you're breathing into your belly, your side body, your back body, and trying to create more space. As your thoughts might be wandering of what needs to be done later today or what the week ahead brings, just bring your awareness back to that physical feeling of the breath. It's the basics of any meditation. It's just being present with your breath. Now, as you continue to focus on your breath, start to pay attention to any tension spots in your body. And now send your breath there. Maybe it's a tightness in the shoulder, a tightness in a hip or a knee. Focus your breath, inhaling into that area of tightness and softening the area as you exhale. And as you keep breathing, just scanning the body for any of those tension spots, so you can consciously work towards allowing your body to relax. Sometimes those tension spots are as much of a holding pattern, a protecting pattern, maybe fear-based from an injury, and your breathing and just that awareness can just help support any of that going on. Taking your biggest breath in yet, and your biggest exhale. And on your next inhale, let's just reach those arms all the way up overhead. Intertwine your fingers and flip the palms of your hands away from you and just reach the body long. You can point and flex your toes. Take several deep breaths. You can side bend a little, left and right. But just really create that length to the body. You might feel your lower back pop off the mat a little bit. That's okay. Maybe circle your ankles a little one way and the other. And then let those arms come back down along the side body. On your next inhale, just hug both knees in towards the chest. Relax the feet and the ankles. So you're just hugging both knees into the chest. Think soft through the groin, length through the spine. Pull those shoulders away from the ears. And just rock and roll a little bit along your spine. Just notice what you notice. If there's any pinching at the hips, you can bring the knees a little bit wider. You can let the knees drift away from you a little bit more if it feels tight in the hips. If you feel comfortable, you can pull those knees in a little tighter. And just rocking from side to side. Notice what your back feels like. Tension on one side compared to the other. And just ensure you're still taking those full, easy breaths. Back to stillness, hugging knees into chest. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, give those knees a squeeze now, as tight as you can. Lift your head and shoulders and just curl up into a little ball. You'll feel your abdominals a little bit. Nice and tight there. Take another inhale and exhale, lower. Keep your left knee hugging towards the chest and straighten your right leg long. Flex your right foot and make that right leg as long as possible. So reach the heel away from you. Drop the shoulders away from your ears and hug the left knee in towards the chest. Imagine your pelvis is rotating in different directions, which it is. Right side of the body stays connected and long to the mat. Left side of the body flexes, opening up the back of the hip and flexing the knee and the hip. If it's uncomfortable to squeeze the shin, you can always hug under the knee. And just holding there. Take a big inhale to stretch the right leg long, and as you exhale, soften the left knee into chest. Now take the outside of the left knee with your right hand. Take your left hand to a T at your side body, palm towards the sky, towards the ceiling. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, just drop that left knee across the body into a long twist. Adjust that left knee as you need. Adjust your upper body. So we want the chest and the rib cage unwinding and twisting to face the ceiling. And we want the pelvis twisting to rotate to the right. I have my right hand on the outside of the left knee, just anchoring that down. And I'm going to lower my leg a little bit because it's a bit pinchy on the front of my left hip. I'm breathing deeply into the belly. And as I exhale, think of softening the rib cage into the body and lengthening the tailbone away. Shoulders are still away from the ears. Left shoulder rolls back towards the floor. And just notice here. One more deep breath in. Full exhale, letting go breath. And on your next inhale, roll back towards the center of your mat, hugging both knees in towards the chest. And just kind of noticing there, you can rock and roll a little bit here. So reset on the mat, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, straighten the left leg long, dropping the leg down to the mat, hugging that right knee to chest. If there's any discomfort in the right knee, hug under the thigh. Flex your left foot, create length on the left side of the body. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, soften that right knee to chest. And again, just noticing if there's tension in the hip, doesn't feel great, you can take that right knee a little wider. You can let it off. Less is more. Send your breath where you want to soften, where you feel tension. So we're taking up movement and we're finding space and length in the body, but we're not pushing it to get there. Nice deep breath in and a full breath out. Take the outside of the right knee with your left hand, and as you inhale, find the length of the left side. As you exhale, drop that right knee across, body twist. Right arm to a T, adjust the position away from the body as you like. Palm faces the ceiling. Roll the right shoulder back to the mat, back of the neck long. Twisting the upper body for the chest to face the ceiling. Anchor the right knee with the left hand, drawing it towards the floor. Adjust the position of that right leg so you can soften into the pose and it's not too much struggle to be there. I inhale for length. Exhale, soften the ribs into the body. Relax the lower back. So the twist happens at the hips and the pelvis, as well as the rib cage and the upper back. Ideally, we're not twisting too much through the lower spine. One more nice deep breath in. Full letting go breath out. We'll inhale back through center, hugging knees into chest, just adjusting back on the mat, little rocking and roll. Notice how you feel. Then from here, we're going to rock up into sitting. So using momentum if you want, or coming up into sitting any way you see fit. So rocking up to sitting. So if you want to sit on a cushion or a block, just to elevate your hips if that's more comfortable. But ideally, we want to be neutral in the pelvis, neutral in the spine. Bring your sits bones nice and wide so your pelvis has lots of space. And once we're here, we're just going to find some neck rotation actually. And what I want you to be aware of is not compensating through the chest. So if you want, you can even put a hand on the chest to make sure you don't feel that arching and rounding when we're working through the neck. So sitting tall, imagining there's a string pulling through the crown of the head to lengthen the spine. And we're just going to gently look up towards the ceiling. and then down towards the chest. Just slowly, comfortably. If it doesn't feel comfortable, just pull it back. But I can feel as I tip my head towards the ceiling, I really want to lift my chest because of that tension across the collarbones in the front of the neck. And then I tuck the chin and roll the head into the neck as I look down. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling, looking up. And exhaling, looking down. Oftentimes the up will feel so much tighter because we spend so much time looking down at our devices, our phones, life in general. And then let's gently look over the right shoulder. Chin should stay level. And look over the left shoulder. Chin should stay level. Normal to feel some tension with this. It's not very often we go through that full range of motion. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. And again, you don't have to force it, but all the lifting, all the overhead work we do tends to create lots of tension in those neck muscles. So I'm just gently going from side to side. I'm going to go once more to the left. If you hear some noises, no worries, no problem. It's usually just a sign of compression and the inability of the joints to move freely. So we'll do one more thing. We'll do a nice circle. So I'm just going to gently, I'm not going to go as big of a range of motion here. If you have any dizziness or anything that way, just pause. Maybe not do this one and wait for us to catch up. And I'm going to go twice in the other direction. You can close your eyes if it's more comfortable. But if you have any headaches, neck pain, tightness in those upper traps, just gently going through some range of motion is a nice thing. Okay, so coming back to sitting, let's just do a seated twist here before we move on. So bring our hands to the side body, roll the shoulders back, sitting tall. We'll inhale, take the arms all the way up overhead. Drop the right arm, take the left arm to the outside of the left knee, or right knee rather. And just use that as purchase. My fingers are behind me, and I'm going to twist and look over my shoulder. Rolling the back shoulder away from the ear. Taking a breath, taking an inhale to get tall, and exhale to look over the shoulder. And again, the twist comes from the rib cage rather than the lower back. Let's inhale, come back through center. Let's do the other side. So we'll inhale, arms all the way up, get tall. Exhale, drop the arm to the outside of the knee. Tense your fingers. So I'm on the fingertips of my back hand. I'm going to press that front hand into the thigh and rotate and look over my right shoulder. Now, sometimes you might get a kink in the armpit with this, and it's usually just tension. Our rib cage and our middle back is meant to twist. And oftentimes it doesn't twist very well. So you can almost get like a bit of muscle spasm or muscle kinking when you're trying to find that range of motion. So inhale to get tall, exhale to twist. Let's inhale back through center. And just give your shoulders a couple rolls there. And we'll go the other way. Awesome. Okay, let's come to our hands and knees into a tabletop position. And if you're uncomfortable on your wrists, you can always go on your knuckles, or if you have dumbbells handy, you can always go on the dumbbells so there's not strain through the wrist. We want to spread the fingers wide. My wrists are under my shoulders. And like Danny will often say, think of gas pedaling your wrist so you're not just hanging out on your wrist. My spine is neutral, so I'm making sure I'm not arched or rounded yet. You can tuck or untuck the toes. Think about being relaxed through the pelvis, the lower back, And I want you to really think about where this movement comes from as we go through the arching and rounding of cat and cow. So I'm going to inhale to arch. I'll pull the shoulders down, reach the chest forward, lift the gaze, and lift my tailbone. I'm thinking about being relaxed in my lower back. I'm not kind of driving the movement by just dumping in the lower back. And when I round, I'm going to pull up on my abdominals and bring my rib cage into my body, press into my hands and hang my head, pressing the shoulder blades away. So again, my lower back in particular is relaxed. I'll inhale to reverse, drop the shoulders down, reach the chest forward, lift the gaze, lift your tailbone. I feel most of my effort here, middle upper back. I'm totally trying to relax in that lower back. And then I'll exhale, reverse. Press into the hands, spread the shoulder blades apart, pull up into your abdominals, rib cage into the body. Let's go 2 or 3 more times. Inhale, pull the shoulders down, lift the gaze, lift the chest, lift your tailbone from the back body, relax lower back. Exhaling, drawing the abdominals in, rib cage into the body, press the shoulder blades apart, hang your head. And last time, drop the shoulder blades down, chest forward, gaze lifts, tailbone lifts. Exhale, abdominals activate to pull yourself into that curve, that flexed spine, hang your head. Lovely. Now we'll take the knees nice and wide, feet together, and just sink back into a child's pose. You can have the hands under the forehead if you like. You can have your hands reached out in front. But let's just take a few breaths in child's pose here. In child's pose, think about turning inwards. It's a great position to be able to breathe into the back body. Relax through the shoulders and spread the sits bones, kind of soften through the back of the pelvis. Awesome. Take one more deep breath here and fully exhale. Good. Coming back up into hands and knees. I'll turn sideways again. So we're back in that tabletop position. One more twist here before we get moving onto our feet. So we're going to place the left hand behind the back, and it's right at the tailbone. So I'm not trying to reach it behind the back. It's just behind my tailbone. I'm going to roll that shoulder back and press into my hand that's still rooted on the ground. Inhale, and I'm going to try and twist up. And it feels so awkward. But ideally, I can open up across the collarbones, roll the shoulders back, and feel how difficult it is to twist through the upper middle back. My whole back wants to arch, and I'm going to think about just tucking my tailbone under just a little bit. So roll the shoulder back, press into the hand, feel the effort there. One more breath in, and a full breath out. And then hand down, try this one. So hands on the tailbone. I'm going to really root into my wrist that's still grounded. Rolling the shoulder back. Inhale and rolling to look up towards the ceiling. Watching that I'm not arching the lower back. This way is better for me. One more breath in. Exhale, and inhale, release. I find that when instead of rotating just this way, where you can just use your shoulder to find the twist, you take the shoulder out of the equation and try and twist, it's way, way harder. So come back into a child's pose just for a couple breaths, and then we're going to move into our downward dog. So child's pose for a couple breaths. Let's have the arms outstretched, fingers spread wide, to the width of the yoga mat. Take a breath into your back body, fully exhale. And then let's tuck the toes. Be in that active child's pose. You'll shift forward to tabletop. And as you inhale, you'll lift your knees so you're up into your downward dog. Now adjust your downward dog as you need. So you can bring your feet a little wider if you want. Softly bend the knees and don't worry about those heels touching the mat. What I want you to worry about is finding the straightness of the spine. So we don't want to be rounded in the spine. You're going to press, root through the thumb and the index finger, press through those hands. Chest comes between your biceps. And your tailbone's lifting towards the ceiling. Now in that downward dog, you can pedal your feet, so reaching one heel down then the other. And just finding that inverted triangle position. So many people feel this in their middle back, obviously in the hamstrings, the effort of holding the position, just pedaling the feet, noticing what you notice. And then just find stillness in your downward dog. Bend both knees slightly. Keeping the knees bent, can you reach the heels towards the mat? And feel that length and tension through the back of the leg. On your next inhale, let's walk your hands towards walk your feet rather towards your hands. Bend the knees a little and relax into your forward fold. So in my forward fold, I've got a lot of tension in the back body, so my knees are really generously bent. My chest can relax on the thighs a little bit. My upper body just kind of spills out over top of the hips. And I want to make sure my hips aren't too far back in space. I want to keep my hips over top of the feet. Take a nice deep breath here. Exhale, relax in that forward fold. And then on your next inhale, let's roll up all the way to standing. And just kind of notice what you notice there. Everybody good? Okay. So we're going to work through the hips and the back body a little bit with the standing forward fold, but we're going to do it with a bit of a twist. So you're going to cross your left foot over your right, bend your knees, and you want your feet lined up as best you can. Spread your toes and work your balance. It's really tough to do it with knees totally straight unless you're Gumby. So bend your knees a little. We're going to inhale, take the arms all the way up to the ceiling. And you're going to exhale, bring your hands down through heart center into your forward fold with the legs crossed. Now, ideally, try and line up your pelvis because you're going to want to be twisted, right? Your left hip out to the side. So line it up. You're going to feel more kind of stretching that left side. Take a couple deep breaths there. Feel that stretch through the hamstrings, the glutes. And then we're going to walk our hands towards the right and try and press that left foot into the floor and lengthen through that left side. And we should get a nice pull, stretch, release into that outer left bum, back of the left bum. So I'm tented with my fingertips. Again, you can bend the knees as much as you want. You can straighten them into the tension. And I'm working to get that length through the left side. Let's inhale back through center. And then let's walk your hands to the left. And now we'll get a little bit more on the right side. Careful if your right big toe wants to roll off the mat like mine does. Press that right big toe into the mat. Really keep both feet grounded as best you can. Remember, less is more. And we need this length, especially for things like pulling a dumbbell or pulling a barbell up off the floor. So walk back to center, and we'll just roll back up to standing. Uncross your legs and shake that out. So a lot of effort there, right? Okay, let's do the other side. So we cross, I guess it's the right foot. No, left foot over. Do your other side, whatever is your other side. So again, line up your hips if you can. Bend your knees as much as you need. Root both feet into the floor. We'll inhale, get tall. Hands come through heart center. Exhale, soften, bend. Tent those fingertips towards the floor. Bend your knees as much as you want. Try and square up the hips. Take a couple nice inhale and exhales here. Remember too, to try and keep the hips over the ankles. Try not to sway your hips back in space. You want your hips over top of your ankles. Let's inhale and walk your hands towards the left. Feel that nice pull through the outside of that right hip in my case. I'm not good with counting and I'm not good with my lefts and rights. So bear with me. So I'm folding over the legs. I'm working towards keeping those feet grounded. And then I'll walk my hands back through center, regroup, and I'll walk my hands towards the other side. Keep those big toes anchored towards the mat. See if you can stay up and over the ankles, the feet. Breathe into any areas of tension. And then walk back through center. Center yourself, find your balance, and inhale to come all the way back up. Oh, that was a lot more effort than I thought. Good. So just roll your ankles a little here. Let your whole leg roll. Just get some blood flow back in. So if you've got outside hip tightness, IT band stuff, those are two really nice sequences for you. Okay, let's come to the top of the mat. You guys can see me there. So you want feet hip width apart. Lift, spread your toes, root your toes into the mat. And ideally we want our big toe, pinky toe, inside, outside heel, grounded into your mat. So this is our Tadasana, our standing mountain pose. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up, connect, come down through heart center, forward fold. As you inhale, find a flat back stretch. So this is our hip hinge. We have a nice long spine, knees a little bit bent, spine straight. Then we'll exhale, forward fold, hands to the mat. Let's inhale, step back into plank. And then as you exhale, lower down. Drop the knees to the floor, untuck the toes, roll the shoulders back, inhale, upward dog. Exhale, lower down, tuck the toes, come back into child's pose. Take a couple breaths here in child's pose. We'll inhale, shift the weight forward, lift the knees, downward dog. Just take a moment, find your downward dog. Pedal your feet a bit if you want. And on your next inhale, we're going to bring the right foot up between the hands. So I'm in a long lunge position. Good. Going to drop the back left knee, untuck the left toes. I'm in a long, long lunge. On your inhale, lift your hands up, reach your fingertips towards the ceiling, take a breath in, and exhale, and you can find a lunge, reaching into the front of the left hip. So again, less is more. You don't want to feel like you're tearing your hip flexor in half. You want your hips lined up. You don't want that hip jutting out to the side. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. And just think of that length down that whole front body. So the opposite of what we just did in standing. Take a couple more breaths here. Good. Then I'm going to take my left hand to the inside of my right foot. I'm going to reach up with the right hand towards the ceiling, just like we do in class in our warm-ups. And we're going to find a twist. Now remember, the twist comes from your rib cage and your middle upper back, pressing into the left hand and opening up through that front body. Let's drop that right hand down, place it on the inside of your right foot, and let's twist the other way, which is way more difficult. So you can hug your right knee into your right shoulder, tuck your bum underneath a little, and roll your left shoulder back. Watch that you're
Jen, I think you're frozen.
She's really good at holding that pose for a long time.
I kept looking back. I was like falling apart. I'm like, man, she's good.
I just did the other side. I'm like, well, I guess we'll have to do that eventually.
Jen, you look great.
Perfect alignment, man.
Okay, who's taking over? Go for it, Kristen.
Let's just, go into child's pose and take a bunch of breaths. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to do, at least, until she comes back.
Until she comes back.
Yeah. Because that was killing my hip.
Hey, I don't know what happened.
Oh, you're back.
Brought my computer down. Next thing I knew, I looked and I was totally frozen.
We thought you were just holding that pose.
All right. Well, let's go back to child's pose. My apologies. What a pain in the ass. Okay, so let's go child's pose, and we're going to do that little bit of a twist on the other side. Okay, so child's pose. I'm going to turn this one off. Isn't that weird? Okay. So from child's pose, let's untuck the toe, or tuck the toes rather, come up on your hands and knees and come up into downward dog. Awesome. Take a couple breaths in downward dog. And then this time we're going to bring your left foot forward into a long lunge. There we go. Good. So line up the pelvis, line up the hips. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, and then we'll drop the right knee and tuck the toes. We'll inhale, take those arms up. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, try and square the pelvis. You might want just a little bit of lower abdominal activation so you're not dumping into your lower back. Inhale to reach those hands toward the ceiling. Exhale, soften into the lunge. Awesome. We'll take the right hand down to the mat. We'll inhale, take that left hand towards the ceiling. Really root down into that right hand. Roll that left shoulder back and twist from that rib cage, middle, upper back. You can look up towards the hand if that's comfortable. And again, just watch that you're not too kind of passive or dumping into that lower back. Inhale to reach, exhale to twist a little more. And then you can inhale, bring that left arm down, root that left hand into the mat, and exhale, take that right hand towards the ceiling. So I like to hug that left knee, right shoulder together to give me some stability. And I still want the pelvis facing forward as I'm rotating backwards. One more deep breath here. And exhale, hand softens down. Let's untuck those toes back into your child's pose. Couple more breaths there. Notice what you notice. So we started off with some twisting mobility of the pelvis and the hips. Then we did some forward folding, mobility of the back of the pelvis, the back of the spine and hips. And then any lunging relates to more the front of the pelvis, front of the hips. So transitioning now, let's have you come back on your back. So flipping over there, laying on your back. And let's just bend the knees. Feet as wide as your yoga mat. And we'll just do some windshield wipers from side to side. Arms can be at your sides, palms up to a T. And just reach the knee towards the floor. Keeping connected to your breath as you move from side to side. Good. And then coming back through center, let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Stay here and find that neutral pelvis. So you want both sides of the hip, the pelvis, the sits bones connected to the mat. Right knee as wide as comfortable. And then we'll reach down and hug that left thigh toward you if that's available. If not, you can keep that foot on the floor if you like. But we want to give that a hug in, keeping that figure four position. And as best you can, keep the spine long along the mat. Tailbone reaching towards the mat as well. So you don't want your whole bum and pelvis kind of rolled up off the mat. So take the hands away from the thigh, keep the figure four cross position, and just drop those knees towards the left. So now I'm in a bit of an awkward pretzel twist here. So I'm going to reach the rib cage and the spine back to the mat, grounding the right foot and reaching that right knee away. Just see if you can breathe into that effort for 3-4 breaths. Let's inhale, come back through center. Just do a couple windshield wipers, kind of sort stuff out. And then let's cross that left knee over the right thigh. Find that figure 4 position first. Make sure the pelvis is rooted towards the mat. Left knee wide as is comfortable. And then you can reach down behind that right thigh and pulling that towards you. So keep the integrity of the pose. The left knee as wide as comfortable. Spine long to the mat. Inhale for length of the spine. Exhale to draw the right thigh a little closer. And then you can let go of the thigh. Take the hands to the side body or out to a T. And let those knees and feet drop to the right. My left foot is grounded into the floor, left knee towards the ceiling. I'm going to try and de-rotate my chest towards the ceiling. Spine stays nice and long. So for me, I really feel that on my left side body here, my left hip, the effort of trying to keep that left knee vertical. And breathing into that. One more nice deep breath in. And then exhale, relax. Let's inhale, unwind back through center. You can hug those knees into the chest, maybe rock and roll a little bit. And just kind of notice what you notice here. And then we can put the feet down to the mat. Let's bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide in our butterfly pose or Supta Baddha Konasana. And then hands can come to a T, maybe a cactus position. Palms up to ceiling. Adjust your feet in terms of closer or further away from the groin. You can rock a little bit in this position. And just think length on the inner thighs, reaching those knees away. Allowing your lower back to soften into the mat. And let's just take several breaths here. Adjust as you need. If it's uncomfortable or too much for one of the hips, you can always just take one leg straight and have the other knee bent, almost like a lying tree pose. If you do a lot of squatting, a lot of dumbbell work, these inner thigh muscles, quads can be pretty tight. Now, before we move into Shavasana, let's just take our way or make our way into a happy baby pose. So you're going to weave the inside of your arms to the outside of your feet. Knees are bent. So that type of position. So my elbows are on the inside of the knees, heels work towards the ceiling, spine is nice and long. And you can rock from side to side in that happy baby pose. Just think about softening the groin, relaxing the hips. And just breathing there. Lovely. Good. So you can unwind from that. We're going to move into our Shavasana, or our final resting corpse pose. But if there's anything you'd like or need to do before that, please do. And we'll just spend the next just 2 or 3 minutes, just like we started. Finding stillness in the body, but awareness of your breath. And just giving you a couple minutes to unwind and reflect before you move on with your day. Full long inhales, full long complete exhales. Take your biggest breath yet, all the way down into the belly, and then your longest, fullest, completest exhale you have. And when you're ready, you can roll onto your right side body. Take a moment to curl up in a little fetal position there. Just checking in, giving yourself one more moment. That focused breath. And then in your own time, you can make your way up into a cross-legged seated position. Awesome. We'll take our hands to heart center. We'll take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bowing the head. From my light to yours, namaste. I am so sorry sorry about the technical difficulties. I have no idea what happened.
Interestingly, my computer totally kicked me out. Zoom kicked me out just before
Yeah.
that happened to go.
And I was using my husband's iPad. I'm still frozen.
Oh, wow.
So there's two CFNAC and I'm live on one on my computer and I don't know. But I thought his would be better because it's a brand new iPad with the best camera, whatever, but better stick to what I know. So
Thanks,
thank
Jen.
everybody.
Thank you.
Me.
That was lovely.
Please
That's
let me
great. Thank you.
want to do next Sunday. We'll try and work it in and we'll go from there. So as long as we're in lockdown, we're doing yoga.
Wicked.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a great
Thank you.
Thank
care.
you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay.